Okay, so I am live, it seems like, and I am using new software, and this is really cool. um, so I spent all this time, again, I grew up in the generation where we only had like 3 channels if you didn't have cable. And you know, you always see these overlays on television, and it's like, oh, look at the graphics. How do they do that? And now I know how to do that. I'm definitely going to be maximizing all this stuff. So today is August 12th, 2021, and it is the anniversary of the birth of Christopher, Christy, Mathewson, one of the greatest American baseball players to live. So he was born in 1880 and he passed away in 1925. And he actually passed away too soon. He is one of the American baseball players who served in World War I. He actually served with Ty Cobb from, let's see here, from 1918 through 1919. Ty Cobb and Christy Mathewson served together for the United States Army. Mathewson was captain in the Chemical Warfare Services, and for Christy, he accidentally got gassed, and so he got gassed somewhere between 1918 and 1920, and that led to him developing tuberculosis, and that's why he ended up he passed away too soon. I don't want to talk too much about his death today. I want to celebrate his life. And even when I do talk about his death on October 7th, I want to celebrate another wonderful life, another wonderful American life. And, but it's still tragic. He didn't pass away because he had bad genes. He didn't pass away because he was poor of health. He got gassed, accidentally developed tuberculosis, and passed away, unfortunately, too soon. And that's probably one of the reasons why several American baseball players wore black armbands when they received news of his passing. So I'm getting back into the swing of things. It's been 2.5 weeks. I had some stuff that I needed to do, and then at the same time I was trying to figure out this software, and this is also the morning shift for me, which is what I'm switching over to. I'm switching over to morning. So good morning if you're on the West Coast, good afternoonish if you're on the East Coast. Today, again, August 12, 2021, we're talking about Christy Mathewson on the anniversary of his birth date. So Christy Mathewson spent a total of 17 seasons as an American professional baseball player from 1900 through 1916. He spent the bulk of his career with the New York Giants. He garnered a wonderful, complete baseball career. Not like today where, oh my God, look at the way he slid into home. Wow. Christy Mathewson had a career to wow about. Like the other night, I guess the Diamondbacks are in San Francisco. And so now it's this stupid trend of MLB loser nerds have no loyalty to any. Well, okay, that's fine. They don't have loyalty to their baseball bots, but it's another thing with baseball players like Madison Bumgarner, DJ LeMahieu, and Zach Greinke. So I guess the Diamondbacks are or were in San Francisco, and in MLB form, these teams kick out the baseball players, and then when they return to the stadium, they have these tribute videos, which started with AJ Ellis when Andrew Friedman and Farhan Zaidi unceremoniously kicked him off the team right before the team photo. And so there was such an uproar among LA Dodger fans that the next time he returned to the stadium, I believe with the Padres, they had a tribute video for him. And I mean, the tribute video is obviously awesome from a fan standpoint because I know I love watching these highlights. But it's in the grand scheme of things, it's stupid. It's like, keep the fucking baseball player on the team where he belongs as opposed to chasing him out. I mean, right now, given what's happening with the San Francisco Giants with Jewish Gabe Kapler and then Pakistani Farhan Zaidi and just the global homo state of the San Francisco Giants, I mean, I'm really glad that Mad Bum isn't there anymore either. But of course, what's happening is, where did these guys go, given that there are no baseball teams left in MLB? And that's, I mean, we're not going to have the alternative ready for a Mad Bum or even DJ LeMahieu, who has at least 5 more seasons left in MLB. But there will be an alternative for all the baseball players out there who aren't getting picked up, for sure, at least in time. I mean, it's not going to happen overnight. But anyways, so the Globo Homo San Francisco Giants had a tribute video for Mad Bum the other night. And the little bit of the crowd that was there at the stadium gave him a standing ovation. And rightly so. Madison Bumgarner is a 3-time World Series champion. He is Sportsman of the Year, and he's an MVP. Obviously, the fans gave him a standing ovation for all of his accomplishments. I mean, as opposed to, ooh, look at him slide into home. Wow. It's so, I mean, the stupidity in MLB is so fucking real. And I'm not going to pardon my French. I'm just so over a lot of the stupidity happening in MLB, happening to the baseball players left in MLB, and then also just in the world. It's crashing down a lot faster than the average population thought. Obviously, I'm going to discuss the bell curve. So again, today my topic is Christy Mathewson celebrating his life on the anniversary of his birthday. But if you have watched any of my past streams, you know that I tend to go off on several tangents that revolve around the topic. And so in September, I am going into my format. I'm going to give A.G. Spalding his due. So it works out. So A.G. Spalding's birth date and his passing are very close to each other. So I'm going to give him a week. And then after that, I'm diving into my format. My streams will not be hours long, and they won't be so tangenty anymore. Like, I will have a topic and I'm going to stick to it because it's going to be a daily thing, and it will be live. And so it'll prevent me from going off on these tangents. Maybe I'm just trying to get all this stuff off my chest. I want people to know my opinion. Because even just in the last 2.5 weeks, right, stuff has been shifty, or stuff is moving fast in the other direction. Apparently, the United States of America is banking OPEC for oil, but that's not a shock, right? So all of these things that have been happening definitely since the 60s, this refusal to allow America to keep being energy independent, where all the hens are coming to roost, right? We see why there has been such an active effort to prevent America from being energy independent, from being self-sufficient, for crushing the economy, for forcing Americans to be dependent on China supplies, China manufacturing, China goods. There's just a lot going on, right? And so all the hens are coming home to roost now, and we see the agenda unfolding in real time. I still believe that there's enough time to push back against it. I mean, someone like me, I'm pretty sure it's shocking for MLB that there's somebody like me that even exists and pushes back on their mediocrity, on their attempt to turn the Negro leagues into the original baseball leagues. Like, I'm pretty sure I'm shocking for MLB. I wasn't supposed to happen, and I wasn't supposed to have any influence whatsoever. So whatever MLB does going forward, MLB does. The line, as far as I'm concerned, has been drawn in the sand. They are rolling in their direction, and I'm definitely rolling in a different direction. And so it is what it is. MLB does what it's going to do, as we saw, and it's so. And again, this is me just getting a lot of stuff off my chest, just putting it out there. I knew the Olympics ratings were going to drop, and in one of my streams I did say, okay, how far do you wokers want to go? Do you want to go down to 0? And sure enough, the Olympics ratings dropped by 50%. And it caused NBC to give away free ad space. And again, that's one of the things that I'm going to be tackling September on, is where does that loss go, right? So NBC had to give away ad space for free. So how is that going to be reflected on their accounting, on their balance sheet, on their EBITDA, or whatever criminal accounting nonsense is happening out there? And I'm not even claiming that I have any influence at all. There's definitely just a lot of coincidences out there, based on stuff that I've said, based on stuff that I tweeted. So it's like, okay. But I think I got some stuff off my chest. There will probably be more, so get ready for more tangents. So Christy Mathewson. So here on my screen, I have his baseball career on a spreadsheet. They use spreadsheets. Why can't I? And I also have a screenshot of his book. Now, I believe this book was published in 1912, and it serves as his autobiography, and it is such a great book. I personally found it online for free. You can too if you do a search. I'm apprehensive about posting some of these links because I don't want the book burning to start on some of these works. Just they're really important if you want to know true baseball history, not Negro League, MLB, Judeo-Marxist history related to the sport. If you truly want to know what was happening at the beginning of American baseball history, you need to read these books. And Mathewson was definitely the most intellectual of the American Baseball Hall of Fame first 5 members, for sure. Personally, I would take Walter Johnson as my number 1, and then I would take Mathewson as my number 2. And it's like picking between Mad Bub and Greinke. Who do I want as my number 1 and my number 2? I know I definitely want both of those guys on my team. But who do you give number 1 to, right? Like, do I lean more Mad Bum or do I lean more Greinke? I'm not sure. I would flip the coin. I would flip a coin. Who do I want starting game 1 of the World Series? I would flip a coin. Do I want Greinke or Mad Bum? I don't know. I'm going to leave it to God on that one. And so this book is outstanding. I read it once and I've reread it a second time, and I was not able to pick out parts of it that I want to share. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have Christy Mathewson perspective days, where if I really can't come up with an outstanding topic, I'm going to share passages from his book, because again, Mathewson is the most intellectual one of the first 5 members, and it's just I hold back a little bit on that because I don't want the analytics crowd to turn Mathewson into some sort of bot. Or the other thing that they would attempt to do is try to carbon copy Mathewson, which isn't going to happen either. Because even though Mathewson was absolutely the most intellectual of the first 5 members, he was his own man. He was his own, it's like Greinke. Greinke is his own computer, right? Like the Astros, yes, did a whole lot of analytic stuff with Greinke, and there are things that they want Greinke to do as opposed to what Greinke does naturally. And I personally haven't seen it flourish. I think Greinke's just being Greinke. And when Greinke is Greinke, he is 2019 Game 7 World Series Greinke. Should have been MVP, should have been a champion. I'm going to put this out there. The medical stuff that happened with Scherzer, and I'm going to put this on the record, even while it was happening, I wasn't retreating the stuff. So I was reading what was happening with Scherzer and his back. Does he have injuries? I'm sure he does. Were the injuries to the point of the stories that we were given? I don't think so. I think a lot of it was fake. I think a lot of it was in order to drum up attention for the World Series. I think a lot of it, and again, this is in light of the fact that Brodie Van Wagenen was asked to have some of his players run onto the field and then run off and then run back on an hour later in light of all the BLM, domestic terrorist stuff that was happening at that time. And then just given the fact that the LA Times article implicates Scherzer as one of the guys who used to call the Angels guy for the sticky stuff. So we know Scherzer's a cheater. What prevents him from being a liar too? And so given in light of all of that, given in light of everything that we know about Scherzer, I believe that the stuff that surrounded him during the 2019 World Series was fake. And it's really sad that he went as far as getting his wife involved in it. That speaks to his character. And obviously that's why Andrew Friedman is more than happy to take him on, because Andrew Friedman has a history of recruiting questionable characters. No matter how the Trevor Bauer stuff turns out, it never erases who Trevor Bauer is. And if you look at my Twitter, I tweeted out that Trevor Bauer is a total weirdo, and he was going to attract more weirdos to MLB. And, that's not me claiming to be like prophesizing or manifesting or I don't know, whatever, African voodoo. That's not me claiming anything of that. That's me saying logic and reason dictate that shit was gonna go down. And I'm sorry, I'll keep it clean once I actually get into my format and stuff. But right now, I feel like getting this stuff out. I think it's just a lot of degeneracy. Maybe, the stuff that happened with the Colorado Rockies, it's so stupid. Like, Africans, Judeos, and Marxists were up in arms. And then, thank goodness, there were a couple of individuals out there. I don't know their background, so I don't know where they lean, but there were individuals out there who, within a few hours of the incident, got the video, the raw footage out there stating, look, he's calling out for the mascot. Like, get a grip, weirdos, losers, paranoia, dorks. And so, again, it's been a lot of stupidity, right, for the last 2 weeks. Now, I should definitely not be using this language, given that Christy Mathewson was known as the Christian gentleman. Christy Mathewson was an upstanding man. He didn't cheat on his wife. He was a good-looking guy. In black and white, he was very handsome. I'm sure he had the city girls, like Babe Ruth, had the city girls throwing themselves at him, but he resisted. Additionally, I believe he is the American baseball player that refused to speak with, at that time they were sports journalists covering the sport. He wouldn't talk to them if he knew that they were cheating on his wife, on their wives. So that's pretty awesome. Also, Christy Mathewson didn't swear, didn't drink, didn't do drugs. I believe he didn't consume tobacco either. So this isn't the day to be using that kind of language, and I apologize. But I just wanted to get some stuff out. And again, going forward, I'll keep it clean. I'll keep it more professional for sure. Right now, I'm just so like, this software is just amazing. This is good stuff, man. Good stuff. And once I get more comfortable with it, because I do have some Photoshop skills, and once I get more comfortable with it, I will do the scrolling stuff, and I want to put the date, and I want to put maybe if there's an option for a clock, so you guys will know the time. I personally, that's one of the things I like about Twitter, is that they let you see the time. So whereas, for example, if you're playing a game on your iPhone, there are games that don't allow you to see the time. It's like, let people see the time. Why not add that feature? But okay, so Christy Mathewson, again, born August 12, 1880, lived a full life. Even though he passed away too soon, Christy Mathewson did live a full life. He had children who unfortunately didn't make it too far out of adulthood, but he had children. He married a woman that he loved. He didn't cheat on her. He was faithful. Christy Mathewson ended with an earned run average of 2.13. He won the Triple Crown twice. He was the wins leader 4 times. He won the ERA title 5 times, and he struck out the most 5 times. So let's do some comparison and contrasting now about. So I believe Christy Mathewson, out of the Hall of Fame first 5, is the weakest one. I believe he had the shortest career at 17 seasons. Whereas, you know what? I don't want to mess with my screen too much. But let me see if I can walk and chew gum at the same time. Let's see how this works. Okay, then I can't see myself if I do that. So I'm not going to be able to set the second scene, only because I'm not. Oh, okay. So that's going to happen too. If I try messing with the scenes. Okay, I'm going to see if I can walk and chew gum. Anyway, walk and chew gum at the same time. Let's see if I can do that. And let's see, because I do want to see, I would like you guys to see I would like you guys to see my comparison with how he matches up against the rest of the first 5 members. And so, oh, see, it is impacting that. Okay, so I don't want to do that. And, okay, so it does impact. I can't adjust my scenes once I'm streaming. So that's why I'm practicing today. Okay. That's fine. Or maybe I need to work faster. Work faster. Let's see if I can replace the pitching in a pinch graphic with my Hall of Fame first 5 comparison. So yeah, let's see if I can walk and chew gum at the same time. Let's see how that goes. Okay, so let's just focus on the spreadsheet image of Christy Mathewson's career that I have up right now. So I talked about character versus personality ethic in a previous stream. Character ethic, according to the author of the book, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, personality ethic got its start in the 1920s. And that makes complete sense, because that's when the shifting started away from American rule of America to Jewish rule of America. And then You've got World War I killing off Alpha Americans or potential Alpha Americans, males. And so obviously something was going to fill the vacuum. So you can easily say that character ethic is American. Jewish. So character ethic is American, whereas personality ethic is Jewish. And that denotes the shift in this country in the early 1900s. So so something else I didn't do before I hit stream was plug in the laptop. So let me do that now, just to be on the safe side. Okay. So what's happening in MLB today is MLB is run by Jews. It's not a secret, right? Like, you guys are no longer hiding in the shadows. The gist is up. The jig is up. The jig is up, right? So it's not a secret, right? Jews run MLB. Therefore, it makes sense that MLB sells. First of all, they sell. And then they sell personality ethic, which is no substance, as opposed to character ethic, which is substance. So in order to repair MLB, you would have to remove the Jews, because the Jews, first of all, are paranoid. Second of all, don't have substance because they are flawed. They live with these complexes, right? They worship Michael Phelps because he garnered so many Olympic medals in a physical competition. And so I don't know how their Israel baseball team did in the Olympics, but there was a lot of commotion surrounding that when the team was able to qualify for the Olympics, whereas the American baseball team was not qualifying. They were sucking pretty badly until some people spoke out about it, and that's when Manfred went out and got Mike Scioscia. And for me, Mike Scioscia ranks up there with Vince Scully and Tommy Lasorda, but I don't know how Mike Scioscia is doing as far as, has he been entrapped in all this Marxist stuff going on in MLB? For example, he can only have a job affiliated with MLB if he agrees to be a Marxist. I don't know, but LA Dodgers Mike Scioscia, and I feel the same way about LA Dodgers AJ Ellis. They were great men. So I'm glad that Scioscia had the opportunity to lead the American team to the Olympics. I think that's wonderful. I believe they ended up with silver. Congratulations. But and I don't even know who played on the team. I don't know if I want to share this. So I had to get my wisdom teeth removed. So I spent the last almost 2 weeks recovering. And if anybody needs major dental surgery work, do it before you're 30. I have a lot of teeth stories that I will be sharing because, again, I'm character ethic. I have substance. And in my 20s, I had to get some other teeth pulled. There's not enough room in my jaw for all of my teeth. And in my 20s, I had to get some teeth pulled, and I got them pulled in the morning. I went to work that afternoon. Now, obviously a wisdom teeth extraction is something far more serious. And then if you're older, I mean, we know this, right? Again, I know I'm supposed to be celebrating Christy Mathewson right now, but again, I want to get all this stuff out to prepare people for what's coming. So the Jews, I believe in evolution, and they believe that they can play God, right? That's why we've got so much engineering happening in MLB, whereas Babe Ruth was born to be a baseball player. And heads up, I will be talking Babe Ruth on Saturday. It's the anniversary of his passing, August 16th. He passed away in 1947. So Babe Ruth was born to play baseball, and that's specifically how I'm going to celebrate his life on Saturday, on the anniversary of his death. Okay, so I'm really off on a tangent right now. So tomorrow I'm talking Cy Young, the anniversary of Cy Young Day, 1908. Cy Young Day, 2021. Americans made Babe Ruth Day 2021 a thing. It would be so wonderful if Americans could make Cy Young Day a thing too. Okay, so back to the teeth. So I have several teeth stories. The gap that you see in my teeth is not God-given. There's a story behind it, and so the gist of this tangent is that I'm a little, I still feel the effects. I'm older. The older you are, the more difficult it is to recover from surgery. I'm not, who do I want to use as an example? Let's put it this way. Tom Brady's older than me. Tom Brady's older than me. So, but I'm not like, somebody that I'm going to talk about later, not as a topic, but because of a podcast that he did. I'm not Mad Dog old. I think it's great that Tom Brady's podcast thing is going to air on the Mad Dog Network. I think that's wonderful. I don't know if that was something that Tom Brady directly approved, but I am a fan of Mad Dog. I think he's great. I don't agree with everything he says or all of his opinions, but something that he's pointed out is that he tries to be middle of the road. And that's what you expect, right? He's not a journalist, he's a radio personality, right? And so I respect that about him. And so I'm not Mad Dog old, definitely not Mad Dog old. And Tom Brady's older than me, so that starts to give you an idea of where I'm at. Nonetheless, I believe that major dental surgery, you've got to do it before you're 30. If you want to be able to recover right away, do it right away. Like, I'm good, but one of my wisdom tooth was impacted, and that thing wanted to come out, and it was giving me not issues, but I think if I had let it keep going, it would have caused very serious issues, and I needed to get a handle of it. And again, I'm character ethic, so I have substance, and so I will be sharing other stuff. I will be sharing why I decided to go ahead and get a bunch of health screenings. And again, everything's still fine. Everything's still fine, but they want to be 100% sure on a lot of things. But I can tell you that as of right now, there is no cause for concern for cancer development. Cancer doesn't run in my family either. But all the stuff that they've tested, there's like, it's good. It's all good. And it's woman stuff that they've been testing. Now, as far as the teeth go, I've had a lot of bad luck in my life with my teeth. They look so white on this thing, which is really awesome. But I'm getting a lot of stuff fixed just, again, for health reasons. You need health, as we go into like bone loss and stuff like that, you need to be in good shape. Otherwise, these things just get worse. And I definitely don't want to be like Mad Dog age with pain in my mouth. I want to fix a lot of this stuff while I'm still young enough to get it done. So I'm still I was on a smoothie diet for a week and a half, so that definitely helped the weight stuff. I hope. It's been hard to eat, so I was on a smoothie diet, but this summer has just been tough. I haven't been sleeping that well this summer. It's been, again, it's the weather. It's just a constant temperature. It's been rough. And so I'm looking forward to winter. I am going to not hibernate like a bear, but I am going to sleep. I'm going to make up from sundown to sun up. I am going to sleep. So that's why I'm not wearing, again, I'm not wearing makeup, but if you think I look a little tired, it's no makeup, and then it's recovering from all 4 wisdom teeth were extracted, and then so 3 plus the impacted, which was, I still feel it. I still feel it healing. So why did I go off on teeth? Oh, because I was explaining how I look. But again, September, more professionalism. I will keep the language clean. So let's get back to Christy Mathewson. Comparison and contrast, especially what MLB is doing right now. And I'm going to say this one time on camera for the record. I'm not trying to pick on the bots, except, I mean, some bots deserve it. Some bots are so arrogant, like Giolito, such an arrogant asshole. I've never met him. I don't want to meet him. I haven't researched him, but he looks like an arrogant fuck. You know what I mean? Like, so I'm not going to pick on Giolito on purpose. But there's this article that I haven't read about the high school that he went to. And then you've got his buddy, MLB tries to sell that 3 of them graduated from the same high school, which is apparently Marxist. And then, so Giolito is just a bot who's already had surgery. And then you've got Flaherty, who I guess is African. And then there's one more that MLB tries to sell. But Giolito definitely rubs me the wrong way. I haven't researched him. I haven't met him. I'm not going to pick on him on purpose, but that's just one of the guys that if I did want to pick on someone, that would be it. Especially after what Donaldson said. I guess Giolito was heavy on the sicky stuff, and somehow Donaldson knew about it. That's why that picture collage thing that I tweeted out about Scherzer catching the ball, you can look it up, the incident. I'm sure there's a video of it out there. It was Donaldson who hit the ball. Scherzer caught it. This was 2019. I thought that was such a cool moment. And I remember Donaldson saying to Scherzer, "Oh, you caught that, huh?" And I thought that was just a baseball player thing. Like, I mean, Donaldson's someone that MLB Network or the baseball hating network likes. So I automatically, I'm like, they like him. Nah, I'm good. So I kind of thought that it was just a competitor thing, right? And then when Donaldson said his thing about Giolito, And then there's a tweet out there. I don't know what account tweeted it out. But saying, so was it with Molina? There was an incident a couple years ago where the pitcher pitched the ball and it got stuck on the catcher's protective gear. And there's a tweet out there right now that says, that should have been the first sign that these so-called pitchers were really going in on the sticky stuff. Because yes, when you think about it, at that time, MLB sold it as a joke, as a one-off thing, as a ha ha ha, whoa, right? The ball stuck. But now we can look back and say, that pitcher was obviously using a lot of sticky stuff, cheater. And so, okay, here I am on another tangent. How did I go off this far this time? Okay, so sticky stuff, Scherzer, Donaldson, Giolito, the high school that they went to. Okay, so I'm backtracking. Oh, so, the guys, I'm not trying to pick on any of MLB's bots. I'm not trying to pick on them, but some of them, the ones that are in on it, if it comes up that I'm picking on you, then you deserve it. I go back and forth on like Aaron Judge. I'm done with Stanton. But like even Aaron Judge, I'm close to being done on too. I don't like that they sell him as the captain. It's just, he's injured all the time. I cannot, it's lame. But again, I'm not trying to pick on Judge unless he's in on it. So anyways, okay. So MLB is run by Jews. Jews are personality ethic. They have no substance. They have a lot of complexes. Here's another tangent. I won't look it up, so don't go too far on this, but I will talk about it in the future. So I looked up diseases specific to Jews, and the BRCA gene, breast cancer, is specific to Jews. So if you don't want your future daughters to develop the BRCA gene, don't marry a Jew. If you've already have Jewish blood floating around, then you definitely need to test your daughters for the BRCA gene. It's specific to Jews. Now, the reason why I went in that direction is because I was looking up Lou Gehrig's disease. And I was like, okay, how does somebody even develop Lou Gehrig's disease? How does someone pass away at the age of 37? Obviously, it's because he was a Jew. But what specifically led him to develop this disease? And so one of the causes of the disease is HIV-1. And then I looked up, so we all know about Africa and AIDS. But if you know that the Jews like to engineer stuff, if you know that the Jews are weak physically, I personally start to get a little iffy on the outbreak of AIDS in Africa. So I looked up the first instance of HIV-1 in the United States, and there is stuff that goes back to the early 1900s, late 1800s. Now, I didn't have time to specifically look up, did Lou Gehrig contract HIV-1? Or how else would he have developed Lou Gehrig's disease? And you don't have to be a medical professional to do research and to read and to use your logic and to reason and to hypothesize. You can just look stuff up and say, okay, well, if you just want to know, if you're just curious, right, that's how you start. So let's see what how people respond to that. Because for example, I talked about, sorry you guys, it's so weird to me, the camera angles, like I don't know, it's so I see that my hair is doing weird stuff, and I apologize, but I thought I would be recovered by now, and I'm still feeling the wisdom tooth healing, and so it's a little difficult to like. They gave me stuff to help me sleep, and I was like, oh man, I cannot go down that rabbit hole. I didn't even want to go down this other rabbit hole, and they told me you're gonna have to take it, you have no choice. I was like, all right, so I had to take that one, and so I'm still feeling it, but I think a good thing though is like this part, when it heals up, it's gonna look nice and tight, which is kind of cool, especially since I'm aging. But okay, so let's go back to Christy Mathewson. So Christy Mathewson, American Baseball Hall of Fame, first 5 member, rightly so. Rightly so. He definitely, Cy Young is another one. Would I take Christy Mathewson or Cy Young? I think I would take Cy Young. So I would take Walter Johnson as my 1, Cy Young as my 2, Christy Mathewson as my 3, and then Mad Bum and Greinke to round it out. There was another pitcher that I was thinking about. Oh, Randy Johnson, Curt Schilling. That's definitely my rotation. A mix of those guys, for sure. So Christy Mathewson played for a total number of 17 seasons. You can see after he won his last title in, is that 1913, you can see that he starts waning off a little bit. Now, he also published his autobiography in 1912. So I don't know if he was feeling the end, right? I don't know if he was feeling the end coming near, or what is it? The end is nigh. So I don't know if he started to feel it. So one thing I want to point out is the year that the New York Giants won the World Series, he won the Triple Crown. So this is why I personally reject this notion of Ohtani being MVP caliber or Mike Trout ever having been MVP caliber, or who's another one that they're tossing around right now. I reject all of it. If they're on sucky teams, they are not MVP caliber. 1905, the New York Giants won the World Series, and Christy Mathewson won the Triple Crown. So he was the baddest in wins, ERA, and strikeouts. And that makes sense. You have one of the best pitchers on your team. Yeah, you should be winning the World Series. Some research or some comparison that I haven't done yet is, and I'm gonna do this with Ty Cobb. Every time Ty Cobb won his batting titles, how did his team do? Because it's fair to analyze it across the board. But if your team sucks, you are not an MVP, and you should not be considered for MVP. Ohtani is Japanese born, and he never wanted to play in Japan. What the fuck is that? You're not proud of your country? I'm going to end up defending Japan more than Ohtani, apparently, because there's something that, because of Naomi Osaka, the Japanese public came under fire for rejecting her. And I'm going to talk about that too. So I'm going to end up defending Japan more than Ohtani, first of all. Second of all, Ohtani is not MVP caliber. So Marxist, Joe Madden, whatever. Marxist on, I guess. And then I'm going to talk about this biracial stuff. We're seeing the effects of biracialness. And it's not good. I understand why the Japanese public rejected Naomi Osaka, especially because she brought shame. I mean, they're selling her. So she's connected technically to America and Japan, right? Why do you want to lose her? A mentally health challenge loser representing your country. I understand why the Japanese public rejected her. I totally get it. And you know what's going to happen now? Oh, she's going to get better mental-wise, and she's going to win something. And then the Marxists are going to say, see, she's good. Well, she choked on a really big stage. So, and she's always going to carry that with her. People are always going to remember that. So I'm going to end up defending Japan more than Ohtani, apparently. And I will do it with gusto. So anyways, Ohtani is not an MVP. And you're just Marxist for even bringing it up. It's stupid. So Christy Mathewson won the Triple Crown, the pitching Triple Crown, twice in his career. I don't know how the New York Giants did in 1908. Nonetheless, one of the years that he won the Triple Crown, the Giants won the World Series, and it makes complete sense. You have the best pitcher on your team, you should be winning. If you have the best pitcher on your team and you don't win or come close to winning, something is wrong. One of the popular NFL meme Twitter accounts tweeted out several weeks ago that Detroit, the city that LeBron James is from, and another city are basically the Bermuda Triangle for first draft picks, right? Those three teams suck, but they keep receiving access to these first round drafts. So given all the engineering that's going on in professional sports, we don't know. So obviously, Johnny Manziel wasn't any good. Obviously, Baker Mayfield isn't any good. I'm not sure if Joe Burrow is going to be any good. So Baker Mayfield and Johnny Manziel are Jewish. So obviously, they're just narratives, engineered narratives, right? I don't know a lot about Joe Burrow. I know that there's someone who's really on him and loves him very much. Do I respect her opinion enough to believe that Joe Burrow's any good? I'm not sure. And the NFL isn't my thing either. So it is what it is on that. Okay. So you can see Christy Mathewson's awesome American baseball career. You can see why he was obviously a American baseball first 5 Hall of Fame member. He beat out Cy Young. And again, would I take Christy Mathewson over Cy Young? I'm not sure. But my pitchers, Walter Johnson, Cy Young, Christy Mathewson, Mad Bum, Greinke, Randy Johnson, Curt Schilling. That's my pitching rotation. But okay, so let me read a couple of passages to you from Pitching in a Pinch by Christy, Mathewson, Maddie, and I believe it was published in 1912. So I think Greinke is our Christy Mathewson. And the again, it's so hard. I was taking notes when I reread the book, and I was like, Jesus, how can I even start to pick passages? Like, passages to share. Like, you can't do that. The whole book is awesome. I hope Greinke likes to read. I wonder if you got to read this one, Greinke. You got to read it. So let me just read several paragraphs from the first few pages, because it just shows who Christy Mathewson was and why MLB will never produce a Christy Mathewson, let alone another American baseball player. Okay, so chapter 1, the most dangerous batters I have met. How Joe Tinker changed overnight from a weakling at the plate to the worst batter I had to face. Fred Clark of Pittsburgh cannot be fooled by a change of pace, and Hans Wagner's only groove is a base on balls. Inside information on all the great batters. And one of the things that I really enjoy about these books is learning about the others, the other greats, the greats that walked among the greats. How awesome is it? How awesome is it that there's a chapter in here, or there's a picture in here with Wagner and Cobb. Like, these, you're looking at greatness from the perspective of another great. Like, that's why it's so disappointing that that A.G. Spalding passed away before we really got to see his opinion of Babe Ruth. Or Cap Anson. Like, what would Cap Anson have thought of Babe Ruth? Or what it just, it's so, like, they missed each other by, like, years. Like, by a year, by 2 years. Like, it's like, oh, if only they had lived a little bit longer so that we could have had so much greatness at the same time. It's just, oh, what would that have been like, right? What would that have been like? These bowl of greatness. Like, I don't even know. I just can't find the words to truly describe the situation, like, just to describe it. They're so awesome. But okay. I have often been asked to which batters I found it hardest to pitch. It is the general impression among baseball fans that Joseph Faversham Tinker, the shortstop of the Chicago Cubs, is the worst man I have to face in the National League. Few realize that during his first 2 years in the big show, Joe Tinker looked like a cripple at the plate when I was pitching. His groove was a slow curve over the outside corner, and I fed him slow curves over that very outside corner with great regularity. Then suddenly, overnight, he became, from my point of view, the most dangerous batter in the league. Tinker is a clever ball player, and one day I struck him out 3 times in succession with low curves over the outside corner. Instead of getting disgusted with himself, he began to think and reason. He knew that I was feeding him that low curve over the outside corner, and he started to look for an antidote. He had always taken a short, choppy swing at the ball. When he went to the clubhouse after the game in which he struck out 3 times, he was very quiet. So I have been told. He was just putting on his last sock when he clapped his hand to his leg and exclaimed, "I've got it." Got what? Asked Johnny Evers, who happened to be sitting next to him. Or happened to be sitting next to Tinker. Got the way to hit Maddie, who had me looking as I came home from the blind out there today, answered Joe. I should say he did, replied Evers. But if you found a way to hit him, why, I'm from away out in Missouri near the Ozark Mountains. Wait till he pitches again, said Tinker by way of conclusion, as he took his diamond ring from the trainer and left the clubhouse. It was a 4-game series in Chicago, and I had struck out Tinker 3 times in the first contest. McGraw decided that I should pitch the last game as well. 2 men were on the bases and 2 were out when Tinker came to the bat for the first time in this battle, and the outfielders moved in closer for him, as he had always been what is known a chop hitter. I immediately noticed something differently about his style as he set himself at the plate, and then it struck me that he was standing back in the box and had a long bat. Before this, he always choked his bat short and stood up close. Now I observed he had his stick way down the handle. Brennishen was catching, and he signaled for the regular prescription for Tinker. With a lot of confidence, I handed him that old low curve. He evidently expected it, for he stepped almost across the plate, and with that long bat, drove the ball to right field for 2 bases over the head of George Brown, who was playing close up to the infield, scoring both runs and eventually winning the game. I've got your number now, Maddie, he shouted at me as he drew up the second base. I admit that he had it quite frequently since he switched his batting style. Now outfielders move back when Tinker comes to the plate. 4, if he connects, he hits them far with that long bat. Ever since the day he adopted the pole, he has broken up many a game. The old low curve is his favorite now, and he reaches for it with the same cordiality as is displayed by an actor reaching for his pay envelope. The only thing to do is to keep them close and try to outguess him. But Tinker is a hard man to beat at the game of wits. So just this this description, sorry, there it is. Just this description shows a lot. It's sorry you guys, I apologize. I'm gonna have to like tie my hair or something when I go professional, and I keep it clean. So there's a lot going on in these paragraphs, right? So MLB's bots have to be told what to do. And again, it seems like Chris Taylor is having a wonderful season, and I'm very happy for him. I think it's great. Why he's having a great season now? I mean, again, I ask what happened in 2018, 2019, 2020. Like, he was outstanding in 2017. I really enjoyed watching him play in 2017. There were several games where he was the only run that scored in 2017. But of course, Dave Roberts, being an African Marxist, couldn't let the white guy on the team succeed. And that's why Dave Roberts continually, in 2017, when he spoke about Chris Taylor, continuously brought up Kike Hernandez, right? The white guy on the team couldn't have the glory. It had to be a minority. But again, whatever. Dave Roberts is just another bot. You strip away people telling him what to do. I don't care how many wins he garners under his belt. He's no Tommy Lasorda. He can't think for himself. He was a former mediocre player who is just in his spot simply because he's African. I mean, that is affirmative action in a quota system in action, especially given that the Dodgers are owned by Jews. So the jig is up, right? Like, it's not a secret anymore. It's not a secret. It's not a secret. Okay. So, so here you've got a future Hall of Famer who has the number of a specific baseball player. He knows how to beat the guy at the plate, or he knows how to pitch to him to beat him at the plate. And so you've got, he says, at the game of wits. Baseball is a game of wits. Nobody was telling Christy Mathewson what to pitch to this guy. Christy Mathewson figured out on his own what to pitch to the guy. Now, once the batter was on to Mathewson, he had to readjust, right? But I feel that the baseball that I grew up watching had a lot of this. It was it was a game of batters versus pitchers. Whereas with Andrew Friedman, it is a game of front offices. And I don't know if it's the ratings, the ratings for the Olympics that scared MLB. Again, I'm not fancying myself an influencer over what MLB does and MLB's changes in behavior. But the damage is done as far as I'm concerned. Like, the Jews would have to go in order for me to come back to MLB. I've said it many times before. My intention is actually to separate the American baseball greats from MLB so that we can start our tradition, or we can restart the American baseball tradition under the guidance of the way the game was played from the late 1800s through the early 1900s. And MLB can fight me on that, but let's be real, man. That's just you being you guys. You want to go the Negro League route, go the Negro League route. There's plenty of narratives and engineered folklore and whatnot. Do that. Go in that direction. Anyways, here you have a batter who was continually embarrassed by a future Hall of Famer. And he didn't like it because he was a man, and he thought about it, and he finally figured it out on his own. He changed his bat, he changed his stance, he knew what pitch to look for, and it went in his favor. Now, I don't know a lot about this guy, Faversham Tinker. I don't know his origin. Does that sound Jewish? I don't know. But, because then they're going to run with it. But this is just one example anyways. It's just one example. But American baseball was a game between batters and pitchers. I know McGraw, first of all, Mathewson was very fond of McGraw. So I'm not going to criticize McGraw. And McGraw definitely had stuff up his sleeve. He was a great manager. But I believe that the game was still more played between batters and pitchers, as opposed to in 2021 where it's a game between the front offices, which is lame. That's stupid. That's why your ratings are where they are, right? I don't think you'll drop 50%, because my conclusion is that MLB is going to end up with the degenerate gambling population. And unfortunately, American society provides several of that right now, because you guys are just so far. The current American male generation is just such a I mean, you guys already know, right? You're overweight, you're high, you are not in good shape, you have mental health problems. We have to figure out how to, if we have to skip over, I mean, we obviously have to skip over the millennial male generation. We have to skip over the Gen Z generation, which it's looking like. Then that's what we have to do. So Rouge, I do check in to see what Rouge is up to on his Twitter. And he wrote a great piece on the 3 basil plants. And I'm going to put this on the record. I wasn't going to check in anymore on Rouge's stuff. That stream that he did with that guy. You know, we're going to judge, if we can judge people by your friends. I don't know about that guy, Rouge. Like, what a loser. I mean, we've got to be honest, right, about these things. You wrote a piece on these 3 basil plants. You know more than I do. That we need to give more to the ones that are flourishing. And I'm not talking about monetary. I'm not talking about privilege. I'm not talking about heralding or putting them on a pedestal, but we definitely, what we need to do is stop weighing down healthy people with the weak. One of the reasons why I decided, because it took me a couple months before I made this decision to go through all of my health screenings that I've been going through. I had a specific symptom Thanksgiving of 2020, somewhere around there. And I'm going to admit, it freaked me out. I was like, this is it. This is it. Like, I'm done. And I waited 24 hours, and I'm going to tell you something. I made peace with it. But the symptom, after 24 hours, I was still alive. I was like, okay, maybe this isn't it, but this is something. And I waited it out. I waited several months to, I wanted to see if it would subside on its own. And it didn't. But it wasn't, again, it didn't stop me from living life, but I felt it and I knew it wasn't normal. And so I was like, man, I need to know if this is it, if I'm on the path to this is it, or if it's something else. Not because I'm afraid to die, but because I have family, I have responsibilities. It's do I get my affairs in order situation. And given that my kid's still a minor, he's preteen, and I was like, I need to do it for my kid. I need to set up my kid. If I'm on the path to this is it, I need to make plans for my kid so that he'll be okay. So I made peace, believe me, and there was one specific thing that helped me really make peace with it. And I'm not going to say it because I know it's going to come off as total sacrilege. And it's like you're not supposed to love anything more than God because God is a jealous God, and I don't want it to take it away from me, but I found the bright spot. I was like, man, if this is it, at least this. And again, I'm going to talk about it more because we don't talk enough about it. And this affects men and women. And it's impacting a larger portion of the population. We need to talk about this. And, so I have favorite Twitter accounts that I turn to. And Rouge besides that one friend that you've got, Rouge says a lot of cool things that I'm like, okay, he has a point. And then Ramsey Paul, still good on that. Zero Hedge, still good on that. Who else do I look up? Another one that I'm on the fence about, Scott Greer. Highly respected, the guy that likes to post his IQ and height on his Twitter handle. No, not Twitter handle. What's where you put your name? And then I'm on the fence about you. I'm trying to decide if you're just a child in a suit. And obviously what I think doesn't matter, right? But it's my opinion. I get to have it. And then Scott Presler is still doing very impressive things out there with registering voters and helping people run within their own communities for office. He's doing amazing work, such amazing work that I got on the Kathy Griffin radar. And then we found out about the stuff that Kathy Griffin is going through. Shitty things happen to shitty people, right? Shitty things happen to shitty people, Kathy Griffin. Maybe if you weren't such a bitch, God would be having more mercy on you. And then, so let me swing over to the religious aspect of Christy Mathewson. So Christy Mathewson was known as the Christian gentleman, and again, he did not pitch on Sundays. I just found that out. I do research all the way up to the moment I hit start streaming. And so Christy Mathewson didn't pitch on Sundays. And that stood out to me because A.G. Spalding made it so that there weren't baseball games on Sundays. Now, digging deeper into that, in some states it was outlawed to play baseball games on Sunday. That's something that I need to further research, but because I found it very intriguing. And so now, okay, so to be a good Christian, a good Catholic, do you need to go to church every Sundays? I personally don't think so. I think if you've got a good moral compass, and given the corruption and the degeneracy happening in American churches, do you need to be in that environment every Sunday? I don't think so. Now, if you are someone who is weak in spirit and in your morals and your ethics, and you are easily tempted, then you should go to church every Sundays. If you need, it's like people who need to go to AA, right? Like if you need that, if you need it for your spirit, then you should go. But at the same time, don't go to a church where they've got global homo going on or they've got women leadership going on. Like, you've got to pick your churches. So we were out in a downtown area a couple weekends ago, and I was blown away by the number of church services happening on Saturday night. And I was with somebody who's cynical, and I said, you know what, if having church service on a Sunday evening keeps the flock in good health and in check, do it. Now, the cynical person says that these church services are put on by people because the collections. And we know this, right? The job of church leaderships is not a W-2 job, right? They don't clock in 9 to 5, 40-hour weeks. They do rely on what the congregation gives them every week. And then it also pays for church renovations and supplies and Sunday school. And I can tell you when I explored Seventh-day Adventists, just because I met somebody, an older woman, who came from that religion, and she invited me to attend some services, and they had some weekend thing, and I was like, why not? They built a lot of stuff from the collections, and I mean, they had their own water supply. That's why for me, Americans who insist on being independent, or who insist on being dependent on government, there's something I don't know if you're just going to end up being part of the flock that needs to be told, that needs to be given a role. Actually, you are. If you can't see beyond how to build your own water supply, how to live without a bank, how to be self-sufficient, then you need to accept that you're just going to be a member of the flock, and you're going to be given a task, a role. And don't complain. Don't have a bad attitude. You're just going to fall in line, because the rest of us who understand or have seen it, we know that government is not the answer. We need to be independent of the government. We need to be independent of corporations, banks, anything that wants to track us, technology. It's just, this isn't what the founders intended. And if you understand that this stuff was, although it's wonderful, I love it, this is so cool. I mean, I'm going to get really good at this stuff, you guys. I'm going to be having image slideshows, and it's going to be really cool, because several years ago, I tried to teach myself Photoshop, and I got pretty far, but then once you got into the layers, like really deep into the layers, I got lost, and I needed a little bit of help. But I've got Photoshop skills from several years ago, and this is so exciting. This is really neat. But I know that I can get canceled. I know that I can get blocked. I know this. And so I cannot be 100% independent on this technology that wasn't built by Americans for Americans. It was built by, Zuckerberg's not American, right? So that tribe built it for themselves. And I'm going to throw this out there for you. Whatever the Jewish population or the leadership population, whatever the Jewish leadership population was trying to accomplish in Germany in the mid-1800s and failed to do, and they ran away here to America, whatever they were trying to accomplish, they're trying to accomplish it again. The difference is that they've learned. They couldn't physically fight off the German population that pushed back against them. And it continues this way. They are not physically adept. The Jewish population has specific diseases. Physically, they will never compete with the American. Unless, like now, where they're squashing the American, they've convinced the American to get high, to burn their own brain cells, to get fat, to get degenerate. You guys are piles of soy, right? Okay, so maybe in that sense, the Jewish population can compete with the American population, but let's remember how they did it. So on top of that, the Weimar Jewish population learned from their experience in Germany in the mid-1800s, early 1900s. Their agenda hasn't changed. Whatever they're trying to accomplish, they're still trying to accomplish it. But they've learned. They've learned. That's the difference. That's why we're getting engineered humans. That's why we're getting gene-edited babies being born. That's why we've got robots. That's why we have artificial intelligence. The Jewish population couldn't physically fight off the German population in the early 1900s, so they've changed their tactics. But the agenda hasn't changed. And I'm not afraid to throw this stuff out there. I know that I can get blocked, and I know that I can get canceled. And I know, again, I'm not even claiming to have influence. But somehow there's a lot of coincidences out there. I believe it was my last stream I talked about Bryce Harper never turned into whatever he was supposed to get turned into in the last few weeks. Bryce Harper's what the baseball hating network is apparently talking about. And, you know, I was called indirectly combative. And you know, I took it as a compliment. I don't think this person meant it as, he wasn't trying to be mean to me. And again, I'm not trying to be combative. I'm not trying to be confrontational, but I see what's happening, and this isn't America anymore. And I mean, how stupid are you people who voted for Biden right now? Gasoline is still like $4.50 something. In some areas with Trump, it dropped. In some areas, I saw gasoline below $2 during the Trump presidency. Obviously now, $5, dumbasses. And then now we're begging OPEC for oil production, or what the fuck? You're so stupid, those of you who voted for Biden. And hopefully you realize your own stupidity and do something about it. Because I think you have to save yourself. There was another old lady who wanted to have a conversation. She sat with us and wanted to talk. And it was very interesting, her perspective, how she started the conversation. She said that the way that we fight sexual degeneracy is by giving out more birth control. And I was like, oh man, I'm all in being respectful of my elders, but there are some weird shit being said by the elders these days. And I told her, I'm not sure if fighting one evil with another evil is the answer. And so I guess that helped her gauge my perspective and my opinions and my point of view. And so the conversation after definitely went in a different direction. But I'm sorry, we don't fight evil with another evil. We fight evil with good. Okay, so let's talk about Christy Mathewson and religion. Again, when I've reread the book, I keep stopping because I'm like, yeah, that's so cool, and I want to take notes, but then I basically end up rewriting the book if I take notes on everything, so it's impossible. So I don't know if he makes a reference to religion in his autobiography or not. If he does, I haven't reread that portion yet, because I didn't take notes the first time around. Okay, so I think it's wonderful that Milo has turned over a new leaf. Now, I believe, or Milo, sorry. I believe Milo had experiences that turned him toward degeneracy. And on the Rouge stream, he brought up that he wasn't happy that Republicans were cheering on homosexuals because of him. And so I believe the context of the reference was California Republicans supporting Bruce Jenner. And so maybe that's true with the flock. Maybe the flock oh, Milo was good, maybe Bruce Jenner will be good too. I understand from that perspective. Personally, I like Milo despite him being a homosexual at that time. One of the last tweets that Milo tweeted out was he was giving advice, and this is 2016, right? He was giving advice, or maybe 2017 at this point. Some guy asked Milo for dating advice, and the guy was saying, how do I ask this girl out? And Milo tweeted out, you don't ask, you do. And, you know, obviously mentally ill women out there, even mentally ill men out there will say, oh, you can't force a woman to go out with you. This is true. You don't show up at her home, drag her out by the arm so she'll go out on a date with you. That's stupid. That's not what Milo meant. What Milo was saying is, you set it up. You pick the restaurant. You pick the date. You pick the time. You pick your attire. And then you let her know, hey, I would like to take you out to dinner on such and such date at such time. Let's go, right? Like, you set it up and you don't ask her. You shouldn't give her a chance to say no. But if she likes you, she's gonna go for it. Like, if she thinks you're cute or if she thinks you're a worthy mate, she's gonna go for it. Now, if she turns you down, if she hesitates, she doesn't see you as a worthy mate. And I personally can't tell you guys if that means that you should persist a little bit harder or if you should let it go. You've got to feel that out for yourself. I can't give you advice on that because every situation's different. I don't know. I can't go there. Maybe Milo could, but I can't. But so for me, I liked Milo despite the fact that he was a homosexual at that time. Okay, so when it comes to religion and Americans, we know that America went through its Puritan phase, something that I'm going to talk about. So Babe Ruth passed away on the 16th. Today is the 12th. Tomorrow is Cy Young Day, August 13th. So Saturday and Sunday, it looks like, I will be talking about, and I'm just trying to gain momentum, gain practice on this stuff. Maybe I won't. We'll see. Check my Twitter for updates. But so America went through a Puritan phase, and that failed. And then America went through 300 years, and I go back to the Pilgrims. America went through 300 years of success. It flourished, it grew, manifest destiny, all that good stuff. But the entire time, America had a Christian foundation. There's morals, property rights, ethics. We know that got thrown to the side as soon as the personality ethics stuff kicked in the early 1920s after World War I, right? Because so many American alphas, even potential alphas, were killed off. They were prevented from continuing to pass on their genes and their feelings and their just way of life. So does a good Christian need to go to church every Sunday? I say no. Given what's happening right now with the degeneracy in global homo in churches, I don't think so. But if you're someone who is tempted, then you should go. You should treat it like AA. You should find support within your church. Someone that will keep you away from temptation. Maybe you'll meet your spouse. Hopefully you'll meet your spouse. Single people tend to get themselves into more trouble, and you'll have children, and God will put you on a path toward the light. Okay, so two things that relate to religion, given that I'm talking about Christy Mathewson, the Christian gentleman. So I watch a lot of TV, and one of my favorite shows is American Horror Story. American Horror Story, Season 5, Episode 2. So American Horror Story Hotel, the Chutes and Ladder episode. Toward the end, one of the main characters is killing off a lot of people. And he's getting ready to kill off a man who is obviously Christian. And I screenshotted what the man says. And I didn't prepare that, but for a future stream I will prepare it so you guys can see what I'm talking about. The man is praying on his knees softly. And he's being told that he's going to get killed. He's going to get a hammer to the back of the head. And the man who's about to kill him says, "My father was a true believer. Ate the little cracker and drank the wine every Sunday." But I guess the guy resented his dad. The dad was cruel too. Okay. And he was the meanest son of a bitch you've ever seen. Okay. So this man apparently in this fictional show had a bad experience with his dad, who was a true believer. So he feels that religion is actually the evil. Okay, that's fine, but that's not my point anyways. So the man is upset or getting agitated because his victim is still on his knees praying, and he's angry about it. He's like, how is your God going to save you now? How is God going to prevent this hammer that's going to knock you on the back of the head? And the man says, "God is in my heart, so I know there is always hope." And that's the point. I mean, this is, I can't remember his name right now, but the guy who concocted American Horror Story is a homosexual who's obviously not Christian, total left wing, right? And even he allowed his writers to write something like this. God is in my heart, so I know there is always hope. And that's why the Christian will never be crushed. You might lose your physical body, but you're not going to lose your soul. Total difference, right? You think God is going to protect you, says the man. The victim responds, as long as there is a God, men like you can kill thousands, millions, but you will never find peace. I mean, again, for something super left-wing, for something from a homosexual, to be able to write something like that and publish it and let it run on air is very impressive. Something else I want to bring up, since Christy Mathewson was known as the Christian gentleman, is, let me find it. Where did I put that? So again, I like Twitter. Twitter might not like people like me back, but I like Twitter. And so based on my keywords, Twitter shows me certain trending trends, but Twitter also shows me tweets. I have no idea why they showed me this tweet, what I was looking up at this point. When I was looking something up, and this tweet was somehow mixed in there, but I'm really glad that it was, because it falls in line with something else that's going on right now. So the nerdification of the American is real, and the nerdification comes from the Jews. Americans were never nerds. I mean, if you were a nerd anywhere between the Pilgrims landing at Plymouth Rock through World War I, if you were a nerd at any point in that time, you got eaten by a bear, or you caught pneumonia, or you weren't going to live. You would get shot in the Wild Wild West. You weren't going to have a very long life. There was attrition. The weak fell off. And because the Jews do not allow the weak to fall off is why we're living among so much degeneracy and mental illness and physical illness, because the Jews don't let the weak die off, because they themselves are weak, physically and mentally. So, again, I'm going to put this out there too. The reason why, okay, so the coalition that got Trump elected in 2016, I mean, we're all thankful for them, right? Your Richard Spencers, your Mem Lords, your Children in Suits, your Alex Jones, your Cassandra Fairbanks, your Stefan Molyneux, Paul Joseph Watson, all of you guys, right? Like, that coalition that got Trump elected was amazing. Like, we would have, who knows where, I mean, against Hillary Clinton. I mean, you guys think Joe Biden's bad. What would Hillary Clinton have been like, right? So, nonetheless, I am suspicious of people like Alex Jones, who refuses to outright name the enemy. The enemy of Americans is the Jews. It's the Jews. We don't know how far they want to carry out their plan, but they're carrying it out. And so, Steve Bannon, Judeo-Christian nonsense, I'm sorry, no. No, the Jews are not our friends. I'm not saying that we need to go to war with the Jews. I'm not calling for Holocaust 2.0, even though I think the Jews are calling for Holocaust against the whites. But we need to figure out how to say, this is America. It's a white country. It's a Christian country. We're going to scale back the nonsense that you guys have been pulling off for several decades. So it's just, I'm not participating in that. And I'm okay with whatever that brings. I don't need to be the most popular. I don't need to be the most influential. I just need to reach a few people who it'll spark something in them to do their thing. So I'm good with it. So this quote that I came up across, I don't know who Piper is, but Piper said, "My goal is not to produce Bible nerds, but a kind of Christian who is so deep and unshakable in their convictions about eternal reality that they are not blown over by trouble, and who don't float mindlessly along, conforming to the currents of contemporary culture." So this man who is about to get a hammer to the back of the head in this fictional show said, "As long as God is in my heart, there is hope." Unshakable. Death is knocking at the door for this man. And he still believes till the very end. He prays till the very end. So that's the kind of the kind of Christianity that we need right now, because that's the kind of Christianity that allowed the United States of America to grow, to flourish. unfortunately, World War I came around, World War II followed, and then the 1960s, and America was done at that point. 1962, 1963. So I've talked a lot about a lot of things today, almost 2 hours. Where's the clock? Right there. I hope you were able to take away the Christy Mathewson stuff. He's somebody that deserves to be celebrated. I mixed in a lot of stuff, religion, health stuff. I mixed in some personal stuff. Still recovering from the wisdom tooth extraction. It was intense, but they did an outstanding job. I think they got the procedure done in like half an hour. They moved very quickly, and I was very scared of being put under. It's my first surgery ever, and I don't intend to undergo any others. I would hope that God provides a different solution before I ever have to turn to surgery again. This was just an extraordinary case that wasn't going to resolve itself, so I had to do it. So I'm back for the next several days. I might not stream over the weekend, just because, again, I'm still feeling the healing of my wisdom tooth nerve. So, but I'm definitely streaming tomorrow. Tomorrow is Cy Young Day 2021. The first one and the only one ever held was 1908, when Cy Young played for Boston. I might not go as long tomorrow. We'll see. But I hope whoever watches these streams, you pick up something. If you don't want to listen to me, please browse Christy Mathewson's wonderful career. Look up his book. You can. I found it online for free. Maybe you can too. And I hope you guys have a wonderful Thursday. I will see you tomorrow, Friday. And actually, let me look up the calendar. Okay, so it's not pulling up there. I'm looking up the calendar, trying not to leave any. So maybe what I'm going to do is tomorrow's Cy Young Day. And then I'm going to give myself free time over the weekend. Monday, I'll stream on the anniversary of Babe Ruth's death. And then I'll move my founding fathers stuff. Maybe I'll cover the rest of the week with that. There's a lot to talk about there. So happy anniversary of Christy Mathewson's birthday. I will see you guys back tomorrow, 8 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Thank you for watching. Actually, I can use my mouse now. See you tomorrow.